What is up, everyone? Sean here, and today I'm going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, the 2020 movie that came out not too long ago, and I watched it over the weekend as I recorded this on the Monday. I've been definitely wanted to check this out ever since it was first announced. As much as that first Sonic was terrible looking, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. I've always been a pretty big fan of the series, to the point where, I drew a lot of fan art for it in the past. A friend of mine got me into it. I was hoping he would make it into the review, but, he said he was super busy, so decided to go solo for this one. Anywho, just to, goes to show that how much I was kind of like anticipating for Sonic as, a movie series. Even with the reformatting and stuff like that, the redesign of Sonic, I kind of expected for the movie itself to perform a little more on the poor side, just because of the overall rep of video game movies and the nature of Sonic the Hedgehog. Not that, the game itself is bad or the franchise is, you know, so to say, like bad, but the way, it's been handled over the recent years, especially with the 3D games, not the greatest. And so it's been a subject of, memes and kind of being like the butt of the joke for a lot of video game characters, or just, fans and stuff like that, fans of gaming in general. I mean, he's one of the most, recognizable video game characters out there. And so naturally he's, put into this high pedestal, and when these games perform badly, or rather subpar, it just becomes like a joke. And so, people like to poke fun at Sonic the Hedgehog for trying to be like the cool guy sort of video game character, having to be designed from the 90s. So it's pretty natural, really. But point being, really, really was excited to check this movie out. I kind of kept my expectations a little more on the low side, or just like neutral completely, if at that. And overall, I actually really enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to. This turned out to be pretty good, for what kind of video game movies are out there in comparison and stuff like that. The other good one I can think of is of course Detective Pikachu. And but this one I think it really, was able to kind of stick with and be faithful with the franchise. Sonic was pretty much Sonic. I love the fact that they really, took feedback from the fans, as much as, more crunch time was put into the movie, and some, sad news about the studio itself that, worked hard to get that Sonic out there for theaters, and that it got shut down and all that stuff. But I think their efforts were definitely not in vain, because it was enjoyable. Just even from the just a visual side of things itself. I think overall the Sonic himself and everything else really was good. Best to say. Not like the most mind blowing movie by any means. The plot itself was, pretty simple, kind of a story that has been told before in other movies, but it's enough for it to stand on its own. It is Sonic the Hedgehog, and like I said, it was pretty faithful to the to the franchise. And the performances were really like entertaining, to say the least. I absolutely loved Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman for the newer fans. For those who, or the Japanese side of things, that's his name, in fact, in the Japanese side of things. And then somehow it carried over to the 3D games for some reason, and he's widely known as Dr. Eggman ever since. While the old school people like to call him Robotnik, because it's natural to kind of stick it to that side of things. Anywho, in this case, he's mostly referred as Robotnik for the most part. I mean, it is really funny though, because Sonic throughout the movie did call him Eggman, throwing that out there, because of several things, but I don't want to go into that too much. I'll definitely talk more about that in the spoiler section later on. But you kind of get the gist of it, he call like I like the nicknames that Sonic throws out for a lot of the people he meets, across his journey or something like that. Um, there were some really fascinating things during the beginning. There was, Green Hill Zone, but it wasn't referred as Green Hill Zone. It was just his home island. It just wasn't. It didn't have a name to it. You know what I mean? And then meanwhile, the actual place that he went to on Earth is called Green Hills, for some reason. So, very strange, but it is what it is, I guess. There were a good number of references and stuff, like kind of really, trying to tie in the video game stuff into this, live action universe, which is really cool. I did like that, and I think for the most part though, like it was pretty simplistic. It's like a easy digest as like a movie of its own for those who don't know Sonic the Hedgehog or just know Sonic on a vague degree. It's a pretty simple movie. You can take your kids to go watch it. Um, and speaking of which, I kind of felt some Deadpool vibes. Like it's very like the whole dialogue or the writing and stuff like that. The exchange and stuff like that. It's very much pop culture heavy. They make a lot of heavy sort of references towards like other movies and just like other popular things in our culture as of today. He even does like the floss, the dance, from Fortnite or whatever, or at least that's what they call it in Fortnite. But yeah, he does that dance like a number of times throughout the movie, so it kind of really like shows what it's really trying to appeal towards to. Besides, the people who know Sonic, of course, trying to tie in, kind of reel in the new kids of today to I guess to let let people know who Sonic is, I guess. I think as like I said, the story is pretty simple. Like it's pretty much like the story of like an alien trying to kind of cope with trying to get used to the planet itself and stuff like that, and then finally meets humans, and they get into some sort of crazy stuff, that sort of thing. So as much as the plot itself isn't original, it was still like entertaining enough. So I really was able to enjoy it in that sense. It's like I said, it's a really easy digest. There's not really any deep plot points or story points, something like that. So if you want to kind of turn off your brain and kind of have fun, this is definitely the movie for you. If you are a huge fan of the Sonic series, absolutely, you can go definitely catch this if you haven't already. It's very faithful to the franchise. Like I said, I've been repeating it, multiple times now, but it really does, it really brings Sonic, himself into this universe, and I think it did that really nicely. And a little more on Jim Carrey. It's Jim Carrey, but you can't hate the guy. He's still like is so entertaining. He's so theatric. His movement, his energy is still there from what I love from Jim Carrey from the old days. Like me, myself, and Irene, and Liar Liar, and Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and The Mask, and Bruce Almighty, and there's so many comedies and stuff like that, and he still is able to kind of carry that same energy today, which is like really, that's an achievement because, of course, age is really hitting on a lot of these celebrities that I grew up with. And Jim Carrey, man, who would have thought he would be Dr. Robotnik himself, or, Dr. Eggman, for if you want to refer him as that. It's really, really cool to see him on the big screen again, and of all movies, man, it's Sonic the Hedgehog, so it's just so weird that we live in a time now where Jim Carrey is the main villain for Sonic the Hedgehog in a movie. So and the movie is actually like pretty decent, to say the least. So I'm really happy to see that on the big screen, and I was able to enjoy it. The humor itself was actually tolerable. It's definitely still aiming towards like the tweens and the teenager, like the early teenagers, like 15 year olds and stuff like that. I don't know if like 16, 17, 18 year olds would find that funny, but definitely more towards like the tweens, like 12, 13ish, or maybe like 9, 10ish. I don't know. Definitely around age range. That I think that I think a lot of like kids would around that age would like find that funny. But there is some there's some humor that actually made me giggle in a number of moments. So I like I said, it's pretty tolerable. It put a smile on my face for like a lot of the moments, and the action was actually pretty good. The effects were great. The CGI effects were great when he turns into the ball, like, and the bass and everything. Mind you, I was in the Dolby Cinema format of things, but the sound was like really kicking it, and the music was kind of pushed out for me though. It didn't really like I didn't really like memorize any of like the score or anything like that, unfortunately, except for the Green Hill Zone theme or whatever. By the end of things, I think. But really, otherwise, like the music is kind of just like there for me. But it didn't really bother me, so therefore, I guess you can say it's not bad. But it doesn't really stand out, I guess. Maybe on my second viewing or whenever I get this on DVD or Blu-ray or Netflix it or whatever, I'll probably catch it a little more since I'll be wearing headphones and stuff like that. So it is what it is, I guess. But everyone else, like when it comes to like other characters, they were pretty tolerable. The main human character, which is I believe his name is like Tom Wachowski or something, who is like the sheriff of this small town, Green Hills. He was likable. I actually didn't really find him irritating or something like that. He wasn't really cringy, anything. He just, your regular old sheriff who wants to move on to, bigger things. And he has a wife, and the wife is actually pretty funny too, likable. Like I said, Sonic had a bunch of nicknames and stuff like that. And I guess I'll address that in the spoiler portion of things, but. Yeah, the human characters, there are a couple of like goofballs that maybe might bother some people, but really otherwise they're kind of there. They didn't really bother me personally. There was like this crazy bum sort of character or conspirator, like Crazy Carl, and then there was Wade, funny enough, who is Deadpool. That's Deadpool's like first name. Because I mentioned that because this seems to be trying to be like a kid-friendly version of Deadpool to me because of like all the pop culture references and just like the vibe I get from Sonic. Like he just tries to be kind of like sort of self-aware of like what kind of movie it's trying to be, or I don't know. It's kind of a little hard to explain, but basically, loves to like poke fun at pop culture stuff and all that stuff in between. I guess there are some complaints I do have, but they're pretty story heavy, so I'll leave those for the spoiler section later on. But really, other than that, I don't really have like big complaints or anything like that. I just wish for more of it. That's just my thing. I guess maybe some of the robot designs could have been better. It's just very like modernized and sort of it's too sleek. I don't know. Like kind of lacks some personality, but not much to hark on too much when it comes to that. But yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much it without spoiling things. That's all I can come up with without spoiling things for now. If I were to give it a score out of 10, this is a solid 7 out of 10. It's not perfect. It's not the greatest thing in the world, and the plot isn't the most original, but the action, even especially by the end of things, started to be really cool. There's also one thing I do want to complain on that part, but despite that, with that being said, I pretty much enjoyed it more than I expected. It's faithful to the Sonic series or franchise, and it's a good video game movie. I mean, it's been smashing records. It actually beat Detective Pikachu on the opening weekend, in fact. So that's really saying something, and I think this is going to be proceeding or paving the way for good video game movies. So hoping to see more of that. I heard that there's going to be a Mario movie in the works, and Nintendo's like working closely with that one. So hopefully that will be faithful to that as well, and hopefully we'll see more of that. Maybe we'll see a Smash sort of universe going on, or a Smash cinematic universe going on later on. How long it's gonna take, I don't know. Who knows? Will that even happen? Who knows? But that being said, again, this is a solid 7 out of 10. Really was able to enjoy it more than I expected. It's a good all around family friendly movie. Take your kids to it. Why not? I heard a lot of people have kind of said similar things. A lot better than I expected. The kids were giggling and laughing and stuff like that. So it's definitely enjoyable for all ages. Especially if you really like the franchise, Sonic the Hedgehog. So maybe he's on his way back to being good again. I don't know. Maybe that is taking it a little too far, but who knows? We'll see about what it has in store for Sonic the Hedgehog. I think there's gonna be a sequel. There definitely is gonna be a sequel just from the success as it's been harboring. So hopefully we'll see Jim Carrey again, and hopefully we'll see Sonic, of course, being voiced by, I think it's like Ben Schwartz or something like that. I apologize if I'm butchering the name, but that voice actor did a really good job. Really portraying Sonic. I almost forgot to say. I love my voice actor, so yeah. Voice acting was great for Sonic, and yeah. So again, it's Sonic the Hedgehog, and go out and see it. If you can. So it's cool to see that video game movies are starting to climb up. And maybe, I kind of thought about this when I was like driving in the car. Maybe video game movies will take over this decade, like kind of like what Marvel did, you know what I mean? Or the superhero movies did for the last decade. I really think this is going to be the start of good video game movies, and it's going to take over for this decade. So we'll see about that. I mean, it's just a prediction, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it from me. Without spoiling things, I'm gonna go into the spoiler portion of things now. So if you haven't seen it already, go out and see it. So I'll see you guys in the spoiler section of things. See you then. All right, welcome back. Hoping to keep this short for the sake of things for the spoiler section. There are some key things I do want to complain about, and I'm just going to just say it right then and there without, explaining the whole story for this time around. So the first complaint I do want to point out was the part with the Transamerica building. Once they got to San Francisco, they were like close by the building, and this is after Sonic was like injured and stuff like that from an explosion, after that battle with like the big robotic like truck looking thing with like the mini tires and wheels and stuff like that. Sonic pretty much like almost died from that explosion, I guess, and so Tom took him to his wife, who is a veterinarian, and so she was able to wake him up with the smelling salt. But anyway, there was a part where they're right by the Transamerica building, because that's where their bag of rings dropped, and the rings they act as the portals and stuff like that, ways to get to like other planets and stuff. Really really neat concept, I guess, or take on things when it comes to playing around with like video game stuff. So the bag is right on top of the building, and Sonic was just about to go, like it was nothing. But Tom goes, kind of just like says like, "Oh, whoa, wait a minute, you're not gonna be able to get to that building. We have to get through security and stuff." And that kind of bothered me because, knowing how fast Sonic is, shouldn't Sonic just be able to run up the building and just grab the bag and that's it, like without wasting any time? That was like one of the big plot holes that I personally see, but maybe because, Sonic was still injured, trying to give it the benefit of the doubt, like Sonic was still injured from that explosion, so maybe Tom was just trying to be careful with Sonic and being concerned about him with his condition and stuff like that, his current physical condition, or maybe his wife, forget her name, but Sonic calls her the pretzel lady because she can do yoga and stuff like that. Hopefully that doesn't lead to some controversial stuff, but I'm not gonna go there. So anyway, pretzel lady is the name because she does yoga. So yeah. Anyways, Sonic, wasn't able to just run out the building. Maybe maybe his energy wasn't still there. I mean, yeah, of course, just from common sense, I imagine being Sonic, it takes more energy to go up than go down the building. So I guess there's that whole scene with the elevator, like with Sonic in the bag, and that whole scene with them like just waiting for the elevator, and there's two people like in between them, and they kind of just like like they try to see like what's going on in that bag, and Tom was just like, yeah, there's a kid in here, all right, and they try to kind of play it off, and I don't know, like that joke, like I was just kind of just like, I mean, I kind of find it a little funny, but I was a little afraid that people might take offense to that. But the people in the theater, like, actually got a good kick out of it, surprisingly. So I was like, oh, okay, all right. People find it funny, so all right. I'm all right with that. There probably is gonna be those naysayers and complainers and stuff like that. So, that's the kind of time we live in. But other than that, that's just one of my biggest complaints. It's just, well, why didn't Sonic just run up the buildings? But maybe it's just his physical condition and his current like energy, whatever, I guess, or just Tom or his wife wanted to just make sure that he doesn't injure himself going up there, or security do something. I don't know, but they get up there, they get the rings, and that's it. Just go up the elevator, whatever. That's it. So I guess there was no incident during the elevator ride up. The other, I guess, complaint, quote unquote, is a Deus Ex Machina took place, and that was when Sonic was pretty much like almost dead the second time. It was the final battle between Robotnik and Sonic, and like I said, Sonic was like on the ground, pretty much defeated, right? And he was like, I guess, on the verge of dying, and of course they're back in Green Hills because of the ring. And so of course Robotnik was about to finish him off, I guess, but Tom intercepts and tries to distract him, and of course the people start to rally up and go against Robotnik so that they can protect Sonic as well. And then Tom kind of has a speech where, oh, he's my friend and stuff, he can't, you don't you dare hurt him and stuff. And once he said, oh, he's my friend, then suddenly Sonic just like boom, got this like big burst of energy, and he has the electricity around him, and that's like kind of sort of an interesting power that they've kind of gave him for the movies, I guess, or for future movies, I guess, as well. It's interesting. That itself is not not gonna complain about, but just, I don't know, the way that scene played out was kind of like really cheap, and it was the definition of a Deus Ex Machina. So friendship is power sort of bullshit, and that's something I always kind of like, especially from a very certain anime series that I used to really like, and then just but anyway, I kind of try to keep up with it, but anyway. If anyone can get a hint of what I'm talking about, maybe comment down below. But um, anyway, uh, so yeah, so that's pretty much it. I guess that's he got a power up from the magic words like he's my friend, and boom, he suddenly is back on his feet. But admittedly, the effects and stuff like that were really cool. The way he punches, or hits back Robotnik, and the machine just explodes into little pieces, and then he flies through the portal after Tom sets up the ring portal behind Robotnik, and Sonic hits him, and he's gone. So that's how he was ultimately defeated, and that's that. Of course, we gotta talk about the end credit scenes. So we have Dr. Eggman. Dr. Eggman is there. But unfortunately, it's a post-credit scene or just an end credit scene. And he's got the mustache. He even like shaved his hair off and stuff like that. He kind of has like that survivor look to him now because he's on the mushroom planet, which Sonic was kind of referring throughout the movie because Sonic wanted to or was told to jump from planet to planet if he was in danger because of his powers. But yeah, so it was Dr. Eggman that was sent to the mushroom planet, not Sonic, and he's kind of just trying to survive and trying to get back to his own planet. So I guess yeah, Dr. Eggman is a human from Earth, that sort of thing. And maybe I don't know, maybe they'll expand upon it later on. Maybe he isn't a human from planet Earth. Maybe he's from somewhere else, which explains his vast human intellect and stuff. Maybe they'll touch upon his grandfather and stuff like that, which maybe they'll tie in the whole Shadow the Hedgehog saga. I don't know. With Sonic Adventure 2, who knows? And Maria and all that stuff, of course. But anyway, yeah, so he's got the Eggman look. He even put down the goggles and everything, that even though they're broken, but he put down the goggles. He pretty much is now donning the look of Dr. Eggman that we know and love. And great with the big mustache and his Jim Carrey's acting as he's pretty much crazy now. It's great. It's super entertaining, and he had his confidant Stone, I guess, as a literal stone because he's crazy. He's got the kind of that thing going on with Castaway, and the whole Wilson thing going on. So he's just like reconnaissance, and he just throws the rock and from mushroom to mushroom and stuff. So yeah, I thought that whole little scene was cool. A little disappointing that we didn't get to see Dr. Eggman, full Dr. Eggman in the actual movie, but still got to see him no less. Would have loved to see him more, but that's kind of where I grew up with, Dr. Eggman instead of Robotnik. I don't know. But I just love the whole, I guess, the transformation, I guess, from Robotnik to Dr. Eggman, you know what I mean? And hope to see where this goes with Dr. Eggman's saga. It's just so funny because, Sonic kept calling him Eggman because either his machines look like eggs or just him calling him an egghead, which is like a stereotypical sort of name calling for scientists and stuff like that, or slang, I guess, towards scientists. And so he just kept calling him Eggman throughout the whole thing, and it's just so funny just because it's just kind of poking at the reference of is this guy Robotnik or Eggman? So there you go. But I guess from this point on, he's just gonna be Dr. Eggman. I don't know, Sonic. I guess Sonic is gonna keep calling him Eggman, and then he will refer to himself as Dr. Robotnik. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he'll just, I don't know. He'll make it a part of him. We'll see. But really glad to see that look nonetheless. It's just so weird because a lot of people were telling me on Twitter that this is gonna be a post-credit scene. As if they read a leak about it or something like that, they already knew. And I was kind of doubting it. I was like, nah, that can't be. That's gotta be a big part of the movie, right? And lo and behold, it's the end credit scene, and I was like, oh man. I mean, it's still cool, like I said, but a little surprising and a little disappointing. But again, it is what it is. It's um, pretty cool to see him. But anyways, the other spoiler we really wanted to talk about was during like a post credit scene was with Tails. Tails makes his appearance, and he looked great. Absolutely. I'm really glad that they didn't stuck with the terrible meme of Tails looking like a really like drugged out looking fox or something like that. Like that dirty looking fox that you've seen time and time again throughout the internet. I'll just probably throw it somewhere in his screen, but you know what I'm talking about. Um, he looked great. I mean, I guess he, in fact, looked like a little more on the Sonic Boom sort of Tails, like the face kind of reminded me of that. Without, of course, the gear that he has on. He apparently was looking for Sonic for some reason, and he just flies off. And I guess apparently he's really fast when he flies, but that's always been a thing, and so they really make him look fast in this movie. But when he's flying, that is, which is kind of cool because that means he can keep up with Sonic for sure when Sonic is just running at kind of like the normal speed, like 300 miles per hour sort of thing. Of course, not when he goes supersonic. And now I don't know. Surprisingly, we didn't really see a whole lot of like the supersonic sort of stuff, like when he goes supersonic, not actually being supersonic. Another thing, I guess, they didn't talk about anything about the Chaos Emeralds. I guess that'll maybe come in a sequel. Who knows? That's a big part of the Sonic series, and I was about to say the Master Emerald. And speaking of which, of course, Knuckles isn't there, but I believe in the beginning of the movie, no, that was the Echidna tribe trying to go after Sonic because of his powers or something. And he was being protected by his caretaker, which is an owl. I think her name was Longclaw or something like that, or just Longclaw, the owl. Forgive me if I'm getting that name wrong, but the owl part was really neat. I did not expect to see other like sort of those characters in the movie, but we saw an owl and we saw the tribe, which is kind of neat. And when Sonic was little, he had to get kicked out of his own little planet just so he can stay safe, I guess, from because of his powers and feeling lonely and all that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely something, and I'd like to see more of that in the sequel. Definitely. So maybe we'll see more people like kind of using those rings and get across to planet, and maybe see some of them, and, head to Earth and stuff like that. I don't know. I think maybe we'll see Amy Rose, who wants Sonic the Hedgehog to be her boyfriend, stuff like that. Maybe we'll see Rouge. Maybe, I don't know, the whole like Sonic Adventure 2 sort of tie-in will probably in the third movie. I don't know. That'll definitely make a lot of money because like a lot of the fans really make a lot of memes around Shadow, and there's just so much cult following revolving around Sonic Adventure 2 because of the whole edginess that it kind of had, and it's just really funny. It's just, I don't know, I find it really funny. We'll see how far they go with that. But yeah, Knuckles hopefully makes it in there in the sequel. We'll have to see. Maybe they'll do like a game thing where, like third movie they'll have Knuckles, and maybe in the fourth movie they'll have Shadow the Hedgehog or something, and I don't know, maybe the fifth movie will be Sonic Heroes. Who knows? But yeah, other than that, there's really not much else to talk about, really. I mean, the fight scenes were cool. I felt like the whole like motorcycle thing, or the whole biker bar scene was maybe a little much. But other than that, I mean, not much to complain off of that. I mean, it's just kind of good old fashioned fun, I guess, for the family to see, I guess. But yeah, it was kind of funny still. And then there's even like a little fart joke in there, and I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of like just all family friendly fun, I guess, for most of the movie, I guess. But anyways, I guess that's pretty much all I can say for now. I really liked, Sonic the Hedgehog as a whole. better than I expected, and the costume designs were pretty cool. Not much to complain off of. Doctor Robotnik slash Eggman. I liked his costume as well. The mustache, and later on he's got the flight suit, the goggles, and everything, and his transformation into Doctor Eggman later on. Um, the whole like his powers and stuff like that, which is kind of neat. His thing with the quill. Maybe we'll see more of that later on. A lot. More villains once Sonic the Hedgehog has like their battery and stuff like that. Maybe that'll be another plot point or something. I don't know. But there's some uniqueness for the movie, and there's not much for me to hark on those parts. And so yeah, I think that's all I got. So for reals, that's pretty much it for the spoiler section of things. Um, yeah. Then oh yeah, there's a thing with the turtle and stuff. But yeah. Anyways, what do you guys think of the spoiler section? Or the spoiler points of things? Are you guys happy to see Tails? Do you like Dr. Eggman and stuff like that? Do you want to see more of Dr. Eggman later on? Leave those comments down below. We would love to check them out. And don't forget to like and subscribe after commenting. Really helps out. Really appreciate it, guys. And don't forget to hit the bell, set it to all, so that you know when these videos come out. And so yeah, so this has been my review and spoiler talk for Sonic the Hedgehog for 2020. We'll see what this goes. Kind of excited, hoping to see more. Hopefully the cast comes back, especially Jim Carrey. Hopefully he doesn't get replaced, or hopefully he doesn't leave the cast. But we'll see. And again, we'll see what the other video games franchises go when it comes to like becoming movies. Yeah, we'll see where this goes. And I have a little more of optimism for those video game movies now. Now that it like beat the box, it's breaking records for openings and all that. So, anyways, I'll let you guys go. I'll see you guys next time. Sean out.